3, 2, 1. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Elk Radio Show 6. This is Ian Kibblewhite, and it's fantastic to be in contact with you. Today I'd like to take you on a journey. So to start with, let me get you to close your eyes and come on a journey with me. I'm going to give you a glimpse of the future, your future. That's what I want to get to. But before we get to that, just made me think of when I was playing soccer professionally. This is something that might help people at the moment. I remember the experience. It was just amazing. I was part of the New South Wales Institute of Sport, and our physio, he developed a program to help us relax because we're training 5 times a week, playing on the weekends. It was contact time 6 days a week. So he got us all to lay down. And I'm just recalling here, so just run with me. Got us all to lay down, and we had our own space. We moved away from each other. So imagine you lay down, and you lay down on the ground, and you close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, what you do is, and this is perhaps, as I said, a way for you to relax, especially what's happening in the moment, get to sleep, and feel really good about it. So when you close your eyes, and you need some nice, soft music playing in the background, and a silent location other than that. So lie down and close your eyes. Then, what I'd like you to do is, starting from your feet, your toes, all the way up to your head, the first thing I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to clench your toes. So squeeze your toes tight for 10 seconds. And then release. Just keep on breathing along the way. And then, after about another 10 to 20 seconds, what I get you to do now is tense your feet. So pull your toes right back. So you're tensing the back of your feet, the back of your legs, your Achilles, and hold that for 10 seconds. And then release. And then just keep on breathing. And then now, point your toes, so stretch your feet out and hold that for 10 seconds. And now release. So what you'd gradually do is you'd work your way up from your toes all the way up to your head and just tensing every muscle or muscle part or every part of the body and then holding it for 10 seconds and releasing. So what actually happens is when you tense a muscle and hold it, when you release it, the muscle is looser than it was to start with. So you go through that all the way up to your head and your neck. And then what you'll find is often if the music's playing, you're breathing right, you'll probably fall asleep halfway along the way. Or you'll certainly be a lot more relaxed. So now you're in the zone. Close your eyes and come on a journey with me. Let's have a glimpse of what your future looks like. Because as an Elk member, you've backed the right horse. So imagine a vault. So you've gone into a room, and it's a vault, like a bank vault. And that's a safe where all your personal financial data, which is an asset, all your personal financial data is an asset. Your income details, your expenses, your assets and liabilities, they're all stored in that vault. Except this vault's a digital vault. And it's called the Elk Vault. And that Elk Vault has all your personal data and information all safe and secure protected like a bank vault. And imagine that non-stop there's a robot processing the shit out of that information, assessing it, looking at what it means, looking at what's happening, where the issues are, where the deficiencies are, where the opportunities are, what needs to be done, looking at currently now, looking at against your age to retirement, your mortgage, how much it's going to cost, how much tax you're paying, how much you're expending. With those expenses, whether you can save money, where you're overspending. benchmarking that, comparing it against what other, with no personal identifiable information is being provided, but against other members, against the Australian household, where you can see where you're overspending, where you're not saving. So that information through that robot is being assessed and checked and tested non-stop, being able to assess and look at your behavioural spending. So where you're spending your money, ways to save, ways to cut costs. So that information, that vault, isn't just sitting there. It's being worked on non-stop while you're sleeping, while you're relaxing, while you're enjoying a beer, watching the sports when they eventually come back on. And the robot that works on that, well, that's the Elk robot. Because in the background, non-stop, it's assessing and doing all that processing of information to see how we can identify interest savings, tax savings, behavioural spending habits that can be dealt with, savings on living expenses, comparisons and benchmarks, planning to go, okay guys, your current wealth position instantly today, real time is this, your retirement needs, your plan is this, your shortfall is X, on the current projection based on what your asset pool is and performance on this neutral, positive and negative outlook is this. Either way, you've got a shortfall. How are you going to fix that? A plan is constantly in place and working for you. So you've now got your asset, your personal financial data as an asset working for you. So it's inside an Elk vault, and that robot's working on it. Now, as an Elk member, you are entitled to an Elk vault. And that Elk vault is plugged into, sits on, our Elk robot. Imagine it just plugs in, and as soon as it plugs in, bang, it springs to life. And this data and electricity and everything runs through it. And it's just processing all of a sudden, it's constant, real time, pushing out info, alerts, notifications. What you need to do, how you need to do it, where. Everything to allow you to take control and build an understanding and build a literacy, a financial literacy about your situation and make informed decisions. Other things that will come up is, hey guys, you're spending this much time or this much on this item. Did you know you could get that from these people and it'd cost you less? That's just a prime example. And then from there, what are you going to do with that money though? So we start to identify the savings. We start finding money for you. You could spend it on something else, of course. But why don't we say, well, no, we've identified that saving. You don't really need it because you're spending it anyway. How about we put that to work? We might invest it with Elk Invest. Get it working for you. And we could invest it into Elk Invest where you're going to get a return. And one of the ways you can invest it is what's also called Elk Money Supply and Exchange. Now, as a business, Elk has some significant drivers and our why. And our why is very conscious of things like impact investing and ESG, environmental, social and governance factors. So this is about looking at our go forward. So it's about the social responsibilities in terms of helping you get the best from your money. And I've just described the future. I'm still talking about it. We're still in the middle of it. Keep your eyes closed, please. That gives you a glimpse to a future that's not been seen before. It's not being done. And impact investing, ESG factors are so important to us. And our portfolio in Elk Invest is built on those considerations. Making sure that we're looking at sustainable, certainly about financial returns that deliver what they need to, what you need to, not leaving money on the table, outperforming, but doing it right, not burning up and killing this planet with these finite resources that are available, that mean that in the end it all comes to nothing, not for us, maybe not for our children, maybe for their children's children, creating problems. We need to fix that now. The world needs to change. We need to snap out of this fucking way of doing things, chasing the ever growth cycle, always chasing growth. Yeah, growth's good, but you know what? We need a hit right now. We need a slap across the face. Values need to adjust. Fucking values in Sydney property are through the roof. they're not affordable. There needs to be an adjustment, a correction. So people need to be aware of that. They need to have the financial education. They need to have the literacy to identify and not be exposed to that by overexposing themselves to banks that lend too much, that then get protected by the RBA and the government because they can't have their fucking four-pillar policy fail. So, excuse the language, but you can see this means something to me. Because it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on, and all it means at the end is we're going to try and put a Band-Aid and fix something. You know what? Prevention's better than cure. So, let's start changing the way things are done. So with that, sorry, you may have opened your eyes at this point. Just realised. As I said, as part of our ESG factors, things we're going to be doing going forward is no more commissions. Let me say it. Stuff commissions. What we do is this. We'll be charging you a fee for service. And then the commissions we rebate, well, they're going to be invested. So let me talk about that. No more commissions. What that means is we will charge you a fee for service because we're very good at what we do. We're about professional services fees. Delivered, we're a professional service and a professional service fee in the same way that a solicitor or an accountant would charge an accountant for their time. We'll charge a professional service fee because we are professional. And the expertise and value we deliver is of the highest level. With the commissions, no more commissions. So rather than us collecting commission, what we're going to do is we're going to rebate that, but not just as cash. That's not the agreement, because that's the short game. We always play the long game. So it's a bit like Dad saying, well, here's your pocket money, but I'm going to put it in the bank for you so you don't spend it. So this money, this commission amount, is going to be invested. And that investment is going to be attributed to you, as a unit to you, as a unit holder to you, or a multiple units in our Elk Invest Fund. So you might, by dealing with us, get an outcome that saves you a lot of money, puts in place a strategy that you need, gives you outcomes in immediate form, short-term immediate outcomes such as significant interest rate savings, savings on your living expenses, whatever it is. The cost versus benefit, the benefits will always be there. We'll charge a fee like you would if you walked into an accountant, like you would if you walked into a solicitor. And it's not going to be prohibitive, of course. We're going to make sure the cost versus benefit is there, and we're here to help our members. As you can see, we give a lot of our time, a lot of our information, a lot of our IP to you for your benefit, so you see us as a trusted source to come to for all your needs. But that commission that we would normally be entitled, we are entitled to, we go, no, we're going to rebate that on this basis. That money gets invested in our Elk Invest Fund. You then have an asset. As I said, it's like you hopefully do with your children. Here's your pocket money, but not for your pocket, for the piggy bank or for the bank to make sure you don't spend it. It's going to be there when you need it to future-proof yourself. So that's going to be an asset now. And this money means, well, it's going to receive a return. It's an asset that will grow. Now, if you're really good, what might actually happen here is that unit entitlement might actually, well, if you're really good, and if we're really good and do what we say we're going to do, which we're on track to achieve, at a minimum, it's an asset for you. But imagine this, that asset. So all of a sudden, all you've done is you've dealt with elk. We've provided the service you needed and the benefit that's very clear. The commission that we would normally get, we say, no, that's going to be rebated and given to you in the form of an asset. We're going to put that in our Elk Invest Fund, and we're going to manage that. We're going to control it because that's our expertise, but it's an asset you own. You're going to receive a return on that. Now let's just imagine that that asset at some point in time translates to you having first right, having access to an offer, or even a discount on the value of our shares when we list on the stock exchange or a stock exchange. Now, isn't that worth something? It's come from a matter of you doing business with us to now becoming a significant asset, or you've backed the right horse. That means the money's that, as a commission, has been invested, well, the commission that we've been entitled to, that we've rebated to you, has now been invested as an asset. It's going to be put to work for you. And now you've got something just for simply doing business with elk. Now, back to our ESG factors, That's something I call mutually beneficial. That's a serious, socially responsible factor. Are there any other brokers out there? And don't call, call me a mortgage broker and I'll knock you out. Because if you can't see by now that we're so much more and that we live in a different world, then please reflect on our previous radio shows, our communications, because we are without peer. We hold licenses and expertise that is on track, that we are going to achieve and do something that no one else in Australia has. JP Morgan, I am Kebblewhite. That's the world in which we live in. That's our vision. That's our expertise. So who else out there is providing back commissions? And then, more importantly, who's actually doing something like this? No one. No one, no one, no one. Because, I'll tell you what, some of those brokers or providers will be flabbergasted to, what? You're passing your commissions back. That's how you get paid. Well, no, we're professionals. And we charge a fee for service. And we account for that in the outcomes we deliver. And through those outcomes, the benefits to our member, and that member benefits not just short-term, but long-term, because they've dealt with a model, a business, that's going to change their life now and for the future, forever. We're not order takers. We're not like those brokers out there that plug your details into a system and wait a second, look, the system says this is a lender for you. Because let me tell you, those days are gone as well. Going through a credit application now and a finance application now, you need serious credit expertise. You need someone with kind of background with you. So with this, one thing I'd like to comment on, just kind of flashed across my mind. The people I'm talking about, those same people that you see on LinkedIn and these other social media sites that nominate themselves for those awards, you know, the ones that best broker, etc., etc. Except they're the ones that nominated themselves and they post it out. Isn't that the equivalent of winning the MVP in your dad's coach? So we talked about Elk Invest. Now it's going to give you an asset that will grow in return. So that money invests as an asset in Elk Invest that allows you to, at a minimum, receive a return and grow from that asset at a time. That's something you can continue to contribute to, because through our Elk Vault and your Elk Robot, we identify savings. Let's grow that money. Let's put that money to work. And it can also have upside, because where we're going as a business, well, you'll see where we're going in just a sec. But what Elk has is, we have the cure to get people off the drip of credit card debt, Australia-wide and worldwide. Big statement. Yes, it is, but it's true. We have the vaccine for credit card debt the world over. And I built this. I am Kebblewhite. Built something that's going to change Australia and change the world over. So do you think you've backed the right horse yet? Just as JP Morgan was the greatest financier of all time, I can tell you now, this is the realm, and I say it because so much has gone into it. And Harry Kuehl put it best in his latest podcast. Harry Kuehl talked about Harry Kuehl, the greatest soccer footballer Australia's ever produced. He was lucky enough to find his gift. And I found mine. Financier, banking. This is where I am a monster. I'm an animal. The view I have is not like other bankers. And what this is EMSI, Elk Money Supply and Exchange. Because what credit card is, what credit card debt is, well, it's a drip. It's as bad as Pablo and his cocaine into the USA in the 70s. It's once people get in the drip, they can't get off. And credit card debt is like that. Most credit card debts are there until the next credit card provider sends you a letter and say, oh, hey, I'll give you a 0% interest for 12 months. And if you can pay it off, great. But if you can't, well, righto, we're going to hook it right back up to that 20% plus rate. Credit card debt is a core debt. So that's a problem. Now, the cure for it is Elk Money Supply and Exchange. Because through our Elk Vault and our Elk Robot, we're able to identify what your gaps are in your cash flow, because credit cards are used to fill gaps in people's cash flow and also for extraordinary expenses. And it's interesting to know that And this is where things have changed over time, but you've got to look back in time. You've got to look right back in time to see when things were right. And when things were right when it comes to certain types of funding was right back in the Roman times. There was a thing called factoring back then. And so factoring would be where someone might need some money supply, and they'd have some forward income coming to them. And they go, okay, look, I need some money supply now. That money's coming to me in about the next 2 weeks. And the supplier of the money would say to the user of the money, okay, look, that money that's coming to you in the future, that's mine now. And I'm going to give you the money you need now for a low-cost fee. And so that's what we're talking about here, in the personal space and in the business space. So imagine we could cure credit card debt, because this is what it does. It removes the need for you to get on that trip with credit card debt and have a thing called money supply when you need it. Elk Money Supply and Exchange. So through our Elk Vault and through our robot, we can identify your future income issue. This is for both people, persons, and business. We can identify that future income. And we go, okay, that future income you've got, look, we see in your ins and outs of your account now, and through the behaviorals of your income and expenses, you have a gap in your cash flow often between the 6th and the 13th of every month. And it looks like this. And it might be that it doesn't happen all the time, but that gap might be equivalent to, say, $500. So we'll give you that money supply. And that money supply will be at a low rate, a low cost fee. And you'll be able to then replenish that through your next batch or tranches of future income. Might be 1, 2, or 3, depending on the tightness between the difference between the income and the expense along the way, how much reserves you might have at that period of time, and whether or not you can allow that amount that was advanced to you, that money supply, to be taken from that future income in one bite or across 2 or 3. And what it does is, where it really starts to add value is where you have the need for credit card debt, and rather than going to the credit card and that credit card becoming core debt at a much higher rate, we go, okay, well, how much do you need? It might be money supply requires, say, $500. Might be $1,000. Okay, well, looking at your vault, your robot, we can see that you've got the capacity to clear that back over the next 3 future income hits you have. Next 3 pay cycles, next 3 months, whatever it is, next pay cycle. And so we'll give you that money supply. And what it means is the future income that we have the access to, the right to, through the robot, through the vault, to recover that $500 money supply that's been provided to you, gets recovered, and then back to square. No core debt, no credit card debt, for a low fee. And so in our vault and our robot, and in Australia and in banks, there are savers and there are borrowers. There are suppliers and there are users. So people that are in a situation in their Elk Vault, in their Elk robot, that are seeing saving, well, what they can do is go, well, what can I put that money to work with? How do I put that money to work? One way would be to go, well, let's use that to supply some money to people that need to use it. And the beauty about this is, let's just say in our Elk Money Supply and Exchange model, and our Elk Money Supply and Exchange works from mum and dads with basic minimal needs through to big businesses that need money supply for $3 million transactions or $250,000 or $50,000, whatever it is. The Elk Money Supply and Exchange has the same model because it's been around for centuries. It's just been missed. Why? Because why would they do this? Well, 1, because they haven't thought about it. 2, because the credit card debt is so profitable and it gets people in drip and keeps them there. Because as compared, well, looking at a credit card debt as compared to Elk Money Supply and Exchange, if you get access to money supply now, and let's just say we identify in your vault, in your robot, that you can clear that by from your future income, take $150, $150 and the difference from the final $200 from the final tranche. What happens is then, let's just say one of them isn't able to be taken. one of the money supply clearances from one of those tranches is unable to be cleared. So we go, okay, no problem. We push it out, we defer it. All it does is it means that that low rate fee is applicable to the residual balance. Too much shipping and credit card debt, and not a core debt. And let's just say it gets to the point where, because of ups and downs, you can't clear it. Well, what we do is, okay, we're going to now isolate that, and it will become a loan. But up until that stage, guys, did you know that money supply, like I'm talking about, is not a debt? Money supply is an asset. We provide you money supply as an asset to you because we've purchased some of that future income. And that's an asset to us. And the money supply to you is an asset to you. We have a relationship where we get access to that future income when it comes in, to the amount per the agreed, so it clears the money supply we've provided. It doesn't affect your cash flow because we've seen in the vault and the robot that it's what you can afford. And if it does, let's just say, like I said, it does mean that you just can't clear it because of unexpected expenses. You just don't want to because it didn't fit that month. You go, okay, let's now make it a loan. So it's not a loan when it starts with. A credit card that as soon as you touch, it's a liability. We're talking about giving you money supply as an asset, putting that money to work. And in businesses, velocity of money more regularly is a far superior way than waiting. And if it comes a loan, well, we isolate that amount, say $500 or whatever it may be, $200 left over, as a tranche, as a loan. And we might go, okay, looking at your vault, your ins and outs, your expenses, doing the expense economics review of your ins and outs, we can see that you can afford a certain amount each month or each fortnight over the next 6 months or 12 months. So great, okay, let's get that cleared in that period of time. So it never becomes that credit card debt, that long-term core debt. Because if you look at your credit cards, people that have them, and how long they've been around, and how you have to juggle them and get rid of it, I'm sure a different approach, and I know what I'm talking about, would make sense in an emotional way. You'd feel it. You want to get rid of it. And it gives you far greater control. So look, Elk Money Supply, that is the future. That's going to cure credit card debt because we analyze your cash flow, your needs, and the gaps, and we provide the money supply when you need it, and look at your future cash flow and go, okay, well then from that future cash flow over this period, get that money supply back, and the costs are much lower than the credit card debt. So we touched on users and suppliers. So a supplier is someone who saves and provides cash in the form of money to a bank. So that's how a bank works. That the supplier is someone who's got savings and gives money to the bank. The bank holds that as a liability on their balance sheet. It's an asset to you. The bank then provides that money in the form of a loan to borrowers, and that loan becomes a liability to the borrower and an asset to the bank. What we're doing in Elk is the banks, in our situation, will provide money supply against someone's future income. Now, for the person who's using that money, it's not a liability, it's an asset. Money supply is an asset. And the way in which that money supply is recovered, if you like, cleared back to the provider, the supplier, is through the future income. We have a deed as part of being a member when opening an Elk Vault allows you to get access to this. What it means is better solutions to our users that need that money supply, and better returns and solutions for your money to grow your savings than putting in a term deposit for sure. Now, different type of asset completely. But we're not talking about using all your money. We're talking about how can you identify savings where you can put that to work and get it working for you. Now, as part of this, I just want to make sure it's really clear. Money supply is cash, and cash is an asset. When it comes to businesses, well, the velocity of money, the more money you get more regularly, is what allows a business to get that money put to work. So if you've got a business that's waiting for money, 30, 60, or 90 days, that money is not working for them. But if they've got an income due to them in the form of an invoice, okay, that money is due to them, well, we can provide money supply now. And they put that money to work. And the velocity of money, so putting money to work, so getting your money more quickly, and putting it to work allows you to get a profit and risk factor. So if you look at your bottom line and go, well, how much is the profit and risk factor from my business? What's my profitability? It's minimum 15%, maybe it's 30% more. So why wouldn't you get more money to put the work on that rate to get a 30 to 45% return, or a minimum 15% return? So that money you're getting costs less than the return, will get access to more money more regularly, the velocity of money. So that's been going on for thousands of years. And only the biggest businesses in the world, and some of the biggest businesses in Australia, really take advantage of that. We're bringing this to the small to medium enterprise, and we're bringing it to mums and dads. So one thing that we do differently again there, and this is something that is where the business, well, where your future is for businesses, and where your future is those who've got their eyes closed. And I just want to touch on this, and this is where we really become different. Well, I think I've shown for this entire process we're completely different. But let's look at banks. Seriously, we've got the big four and the rest of them. Do any of them do anything different? Do they really do anything different? No. Then let's look at these neobanks and these newcomers. What the hell do they do different? What is their value proposition? We're a business bank? Don't understand business? Yeah, really? Well, I've actually had a look at you, and I've seen a bit of what you do. No, you don't. You don't do anything different. And why? Well, you're owned by bankers. The founders of the business bank, I won't name any names, but the founders of the so-called business bank, well, they're bankers. So how does a lifelong banker, do anything different? And you've got the others that pop up and say, well, we're a fully mobile bank. We're the first mobile bank. Wait a second, hasn't mobile internet banking been around for some time? What are you doing different there? Oh, we'll help you do a budget. Okay. Well, no, that's nothing different. And then you've got others that come out and they have a good story, but then you look at it and, well, they're founded by a lifelong banker. Okay, so what do we got here? We've got more banks. Nothing different. We need something different. Things need to change. And with that, just one snapshot I've given you. The Elk Vault, well, not one, here's a snapshot of what I've given you so far. Elk Vault, the Elk Robot. From there, Elk Money Supply and Exchange. We're not a bank, what a bank should be. And when it comes to looking at structuring and businesses, really providing solutions to businesses, let's just look at this for a sec. So, a thing I call triangular security. These banks out there that say they're going to lend money to business, and there's others that are providing loans to businesses that they claw out of their bank account every day, every week, every month for payment, and they do unsecured lending to a degree up to certain limits, and they make it really, really hard on the cash flow of that business. So we provide a solution that's different to that. And one of the ways in which we structure that is a thing called triangular security. I'm going to talk about that right now.